Hey guys, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Well, probably not, but we're going to take the chassis out of this cabinet and see what it looks like inside. So we're going to start by removing these knobs, and you'll see that there's set screws in there. That one came off easy because that's the one that I created. Let's see if we can get these other ones off, how easy it is. I noticed there's no felt behind these. I don't know if that was standard issue. Oh, there's felt. That's good. That means it's pretty original. That's a good sign, actually. That's factory. Let's see what we have here. I'm holding the camera by hand, so I apologize if it's a little shaky. Felt on there. That's good. I'll tell you, I've been working on radios for years and not finding felt very often, so that's a good sign. All right, so that's everything in the front. Now we got to flip it around and do some work in the back. So let me flip it around and we'll come back. All right, so here we are in the back. Looks like before we take the screws out of the bottom, we have to remove the speaker. And I noticed something I've not seen before with these speaker plugs. This one has a screw in it. So apparently from the factory, they put a screw to hold that connector in. Now, that kind of makes sense actually because there's B+ flying around in there, but I've never seen one of these manufacturers actually take the time to do something like this to make sure that the screw doesn't come out or the speaker doesn't come out. So there it is. Let's see if this thing pulls out easily. I don't want to break it. Just work it out gently. No rush, a little at a time. It's keyed, so we don't have to worry. There it is. Looks pretty clean there. Okay. So now our speaker is disconnected. So our next step is going to be to take the screws out from the bottom. So let's get that set up. Okay, on the bottom, looks like we have 4 screws. And just an observation, they all look original. That's another unusual thing that I haven't seen much is usually the screws are missing or they're mismatched from being lost over the years. So I'm really hoping that this thing is fairly original. Would not be excellent if it is. Okay, there's 2. Let's get this power cord out of the way. Alright. Now I probably need to remove the bracket or loosen the bracket that holds the Magic Eye tube. We'll find that out in a minute. Okay, I'm going to put the camera down, get these other 2 screws out, and then when we come back it'll be stood up and we can slide it out. All the screws are out, but one thing I noticed before I flip it over, you notice they have 2 spots beveled out here. I wonder if there was another chassis that also went in this radio case at some point. Interesting. Let's flip her up. Okay, before I flip it up, I did loosen that set screw to release the Magic Eye tube, which is right here. Okay. So let's stand this thing up. Alright, let's see if we have any resistance. Let's get a good look in there. Doesn't look like it. Looks like everything is attached to the chassis. We don't want to pull yet until we're sure. Alright, let's see. There's a little bit of something holding up here. Let me go check that out. Alright, so it looks like in order to remove this chassis, you have to remove this nut, and there's one more over here somewhere, right here. I know it's dark, you can't see. There's one more here, and I think that will release these circuit boards. What's happening is those circuit boards that you see in there, right there, are attached to the front bezel for the push buttons. So I think that will release them. So let me try that and we'll come back. Okay, so here's the deal. To get this thing out, you have to remove this bracket for the magic eye tube. Slides right off that bracket there. Then you have to remove 2 nuts. There's one here, right there, and there's one right here. I've already removed them, and you see this will slide out like that, okay? So I'm going to do the other side right there, and then we'll pull the chassis out. Okay, all those screws are out. You'll see these plates are now free, and we should be able to pull this thing out. There we go. Okay, I'm going to move this case out of the way and we'll take a look underneath. Alright, here we go. I haven't flipped it up yet, I promise. We're going to look together, okay? Let's see what we get. Now that looks pretty original to me. These all look like original wax caps. There's a lot less under here than I thought there would be. It's really not much. Look at that. Very few components. We got a couple of waxy caps, obviously. We have some of those solar capacitors, I think. We've got some dog bone resistors. We've got a couple of these wire resistors. I don't see anything major under here, so this is going to be really simple from a restoration perspective. Also, right here, right there is our original capacitor can, and it looks like it hasn't been bypassed, so it's original, which means that no one has replaced the electrolytic caps in this thing in 80-something years. 85 years. Interesting. Okay. Much better than I thought it would be. So the good news is also this side plate comes off for some reason. I don't know why yet. The side plates on the chassis came out with it. I have to figure that out. So what you have here is a relatively simple radio, if you think about it. We just have the motorized tuner, which is the highlight of this thing. I also was talking to Brendan, who's kind of my mentor, and he was telling me that the transformer winding that they have for the motor assembly is weak, so you don't want to be playing with the motor too much. Apparently, it was undersized. So that's good. I'm even wondering if this is the original power cord. Now that I look at it, I don't see any evidence that this thing has been worked on. I do thank God that it doesn't have that experimental rubber wire. that would be a nightmare. So this is what we have here. Let's take a look around the top. We do have a little bit of rust right here. We can get that off with some navel jelly. Looks like our dial is a little warped, but it looks like it'll clean up okay. That's good. And what else do we see that's notable? Here's our push buttons right here. That's where our push buttons attach. That's good. So I think we've accomplished our mission for today, is to get this thing out of the chassis and take a look at it. Good news. So now the question is, what's next? Well, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check all the coils, make sure the coils are good, the IF cans, the transformer windings. I'm going to do all that from the top of the radio in the pin sockets for the tubes. I'll see if I can work out which pins they are and figure all that out. And when we come back in the next episode, we're going to talk about our plan to start restoring under here. And also getting this chassis a little bit cleaned up here, because I don't like this rust. Sorry about the focus. I don't like this rust on here. But it looks like it's surface rust. It should come right out. But overall, this thing is in very good shape. We're also going to talk about in the next episode how to get that motor out and look at that. So that's going to be the centerpiece of this thing and the focal point. We'll flip this thing up and take a good look at our motor. let's get these out of the way. These are our push buttons. So our tuning capacitor is real dirty. It's a 3-gang capacitor. Here's our filter caps. Looks like there's a bulb socket back here that there's no bulb in. That's interesting. Not sure what that's all about, why it would be all the way back there. But I don't know. There's also a couple of bulb sockets. Here's one right here. And there that go into the dial. But I don't know why there's a bulb socket all the way back here. That doesn't make any sense. All right, so that's where we are. So we're getting there, and in our next episode this weekend, we'll start to dig in a little bit. All right? Hope you found this useful. So if you've got one that you need to take apart, let's summarize. Remove the knobs, remove the magic eye tube and the bracket. Then you have to remove those 2 nuts that hold these plates in place to the bezel, the 2 on each side. Then you can pull this unit straight out. All right? See you in the next episode.